All right, everyone, welcome to today's Port NOLA Procurement Roundtable. My name is Kathy Alfonso. I am Engagement Manager for the Port of New Orleans. And so I've been working with our procurement team on this event, and I work with our procurement on our outreach efforts. And so we are so excited to have all of you here. It's been a while since we have hosted a procurement roundtable. And so it's a sign of the time that hopefully, this is a positive upswing for us, having almost 200 people today. And so before we get into panel discussion, I did want to just take some time to give everyone an overview of the port and what we do in our lines of business. March, we are right now catching the tail end of National Procurement Month, and so to close out the month, we hope that this session is informative. As I mentioned, for those who were on the call a little bit earlier, we are going to be using the chat feature on today's call. So if you have a question for our panelists, make sure to put it in the chat feature so see it, so that our panelists can address it when they're talking, or answer your question in the dedicated Q&A portion. We do have an hour dedicated for today. If we do we'll do our best to address as many questions as possible. So you can email us. We'll have some contact information. So diving right in, so here at Port NOLA, our mission is to drive regional economic prosperity by maximizing of international trade and commerce. So something that a lot of folks may not realize is that the Port of New Orleans represents a three-parish jurisdiction, which includes Jefferson, Orleans, and St. Bernard parishes. And so this is 34 miles within our jurisdiction, and really, we as a state agency hope to represent our region in its entirety when it comes to maritime commerce and supporting our local economy.
The Port of New Orleans is considered a diverse, multi-purpose landlord port.
I think I have a
The Port of New Orleans is considered a diverse, multi-purpose landlord port. What that means is that...
So I'll just skip over that slide since I have a recording over it. But what I was going to say is that the port is a diverse landlord port. So we have four diverse lines of business. Cargo, which comprises containerized cargo and break bulk cargo. Also have rail as a strategic partner with the New Orleans Public Belt we'll hear from today. Industrial real estate. The port serves as a landlord port where we have a number of tenants that real estate and infrastructure from the Port of New Orleans own operations. And lastly, we have cruise. So as I look out my window today, I see a river cruise ship, which is an exciting sight to see after the long year that we've had. And so we look forward to bringing our cruise industry back when it is safe to do so. And at our economic, being that our mission is to maximize economic prosperity as a landlord port and having our tenant partners, there is a ripple effect in our tri-parish jurisdiction when it comes to jobs within the industry. So within our three-parish jurisdiction of Jefferson, Orleans, and St. Bernard, there are over 19,000 jobs, $3.9 billion of output facilitated through the work that we do here at the Port of New Orleans. And so now that I don't take up too much time, I want to go ahead and we're going to do some introductions for our panel. And first, I would like to introduce Chanel Labat, who is our Director of Procurement. Each of our panelists is going to give a brief introduction of themselves and their role as it pertains to Port NOLA's procurement. And then we'll go into learning more about how to do business with the port. Chanel?
Thank you, Kathy. I hope everybody can see me. This is the first time I'm. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for taking time out of your day to attend our roundtable. In my role, I provide support to our internal teams, ensuring that we follow all applicable law and our own internal policies. Somebody's saying I have a block on my camera. We also are dedicated to supporting our vendors and providing them with all the support they need in order to be able to bid on our projects. And I'll hand it back to you, Kathy, and I'll work on my video.
Tony?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Evett. I'm the Vice President of Engineering and Facilities here at the Port. One of our primary roles is to plan, build, and maintain infrastructure to grow jobs and support economic growth and opportunities related to trade and commerce. My team and I are responsible for developing and executing all port capital improvement and maintenance plans required to support this critical infrastructure. We rely heavily on our partnerships with local professional consultants, contractors, vendors, and suppliers to accomplish our goals. I appreciate all of you taking the time to meet with us today, and we're excited to have opportunities to work with you all in the near future. Thank you.
Chris?
All right, thank you, Kathy. Chris Gilmore, I am the Director of Engineering at the Port of New Orleans. As Tony said, we are responsible for implementing the capital improvement program here at the Port. And just for a little background on myself, I spent over 25 years at the Corps of Engineers in New Orleans, and then I'm relatively new to the Port. So excited to be here and excited to work with all of you out there.
Thanks, Chris. John?
My name is John Gidry. I'm the Director of Maintenance here at the Port of New Orleans. We're responsible for just about a little bit of everything from the maintenance and repair of our ship-to-shore container cranes, our drawbridges on the industrial canal, all of our facilities and office buildings, which also includes utilities to those facilities. Could be water lines, sewage, electrical, water lines underneath the wharves, and so forth. We are also responsible for fendering and pile driving on the river, dredging needs by the port, as well as sounding of the berths that the port maintains. So we have a lot going on. Not all of it goes out for public bid because it's not very complex projects all the time, but we routinely need a database of contractors to call upon for assistance for a variety of different tasks and repairs. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And lastly, we have Carl.
Yes, hello everyone, and I appreciate everyone coming on the call this afternoon and spending their time. We're the new folks conjoined with the port now, and I myself have been with the New Orleans Public Belt since 2013, and have gone through all the transitions now. And we're excited about the new opportunity to be part of the procurement system with the state that we have to follow. And just like John said, and also Tony and Chris, I basically do the same thing. We have the same responsibilities with infrastructure. We do take care of the Huey P. Long Bridge, all the rail along the railroad, and all the support buildings that we have along the railroad also. Kind of a smaller version of what John needs, but nonetheless, we do have the same needs as our partners at the port. So I'm very excited for you all to join the call, and this is a good thing. So thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Carl. And now I'm going to hand it over to Chanel, who is going to talk a little bit more about our procurement process here at the Port.
All right. Not sure if my camera's working, but we'll just get started. I have the pleasure of working with the gentleman that you just met. And together we work to identify internal needs and then determine the best procurement method for those needs. Some of the things that we do, we have benchmarks in place for items that are over $10,000. We always recommend getting 3 quotes. In quoting those items, we ensure that we get the best possible pricing and terms. Items for materials and supplies that are over $30,000, professional services over $50,000, and construction projects over $250,000 are all publicly bid. In publicly bidding those items, we advertise them in the Advocate New Orleans, and we share them with our partner agencies. Some of our partners include the chambers, the Asian, Black, Hispanic, and New Orleans Chamber. We also share our projects with New Orleans Business Alliance, the Ernest M. Morial Convention Center, Women's Business Council, and a few others. In sharing our projects, we find that we get more people interested, more vendors interested in learning more about how to do business with us. We also place all of our opportunities on our websites, which are www.portnola.com and www.railnola.com. If you haven't had an opportunity to visit our websites, I suggest that you do so. It's a great way to learn about what we have going on at the Port. If you've not had an opportunity to register yourself as a vendor, please take a few minutes and complete that registration. In completing the registration, it allows you to access all of our projects, download the specs, you can read and review them, you can see the specifications, the drawings, and if there's a pre-bid, we strongly encourage you to attend that pre-bid. The pre-bid is hosted by our project manager and our procurement manager, and together they will walk through the specs of the project and answer any questions that you have on that piece of it. Also, they'll be there to be able to answer any questions on the forms and what's the required documents that you need to include when submitting a bid. So it's a great way to learn more about a project. It's also a great opportunity to see where we're located, to know where you have to come in and submit your bid. We're kind of tucked in the back, and sometimes there's a lot of traffic and moving parts going on. So attending the pre-bid is always a great idea. I talked about our websites just a few minutes ago. Our websites include all of our current opportunities for the Port and the Public Belt. And again, if you haven't had an opportunity to do so, please make sure you take a few minutes and review them and register as a vendor. This will be the greatest way that you can find out what's going on here at the Port. Everything can be downloaded free of charge. You can print it, read it, review it, and be prepared to ask any questions that you have about the project. Any questions we have before I turn it over to the gentleman to talk about their upcoming projects?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm with Bengal Crane and Rigging, also Bengal Transportation. So we're wanting to pursue getting set up with you guys as a vendor for a heavy lift and any specialty transportation needs that the Port may offer. We have we have been very active in mainly like coastal cargo and the ports, Ports America, just south of coastal cargo at y'all's facility. But we did want it to introduce ourselves and offer our interest to support y'all in any way possible.
Okay, thank you for that. If you have not done so, please make sure you register at our website.
We will.
Okay. All right, and then we're going to ask anybody to put their questions in the chat box, and we'll answer as many questions as we can. I'm just going to take a read through. We have a question, will you be able to email the presentation? Kathy, I think we're going to place it on our website. And you'll be able to view it there.
That is correct. We're going to have a recording of this session up on the website.
Okay. All right.
All right. And for anyone else that has any questions throughout, feel free to just submit them through the chat feature. And now we are going to transition to hear from the Port's Engineering Department on upcoming projects. But before doing so, Chanel has worked with all of our departments here at the Port in regards to the upcoming projects that we have for the next quarter or so. I know that many of you on the call may have heard about the proposed Louisiana International Terminal in St. Bernard Parish, and so I know that that is something that is of interest to a lot of the businesses, here locally and also on a national level. So while we don't have information just yet for that, as we are still in the very beginning of a multi-year due diligence process, we encourage you to sign up into our vendor database, as Chanel mentioned, and that way, as opportunities become available, all of that information will get sent out. And also, if you have specific interest in learning more about the Louisiana International Terminal, you can go to the Port NOLA website, portnola.com, and on the home page, you'll see a promo box that has the Louisiana International Terminal page where you can sign up for updates. You can visit yourworkingriver.com to go straight to the LIT page and sign up for updates specific to the proposed project in St. Bernard Parish. Otherwise, definitely sign up if you're not already to be a vendor with our procurement team, and you can learn about any opportunities beyond just opportunities for that project from there. Chanel, did you want to go over this before I kick it over to our engineering team?
Yes, thank you, Kathy. Just the slide up to just now is what our current spend is for the year. This has been a unique year with COVID, so we're not as high on our DBE spend as we'd like. And so this is a great opportunity for small businesses to learn more about the Port, learn about our website, learn about how they can do business with us so that we can increase those numbers. That's always our goal, to contract with small and local businesses wherever we can. We had a couple of questions in the chat. One was about, are we looking for new contractors? Yes, we're always looking for new contractors, so please make sure you register, view our projects, download them, read them, review them, and attend a pre-bid if we're hosting one. And if we aren't hosting one, you can always email your questions into us at procurement@portnola.com. We have a question, when does your fiscal year start and end? Our fiscal year begins July 1 and runs through June 30th. And that is the questions I see, and I will hand it off to Chris.
All Great. Thank you, Chanel. I appreciate that. As was stated, we kind of put together a list of our projects that we see coming out in the next couple of months. So I'm going to run through the list here, just kind of give you a brief description of what the project entails. Just keep in mind that although we have this list here today, it does not mean that they're actually going to make it to procurement. They may get delayed for whatever reason. So this is just a preliminary list. Best way to know what's coming out is just to keep an eye on the website to see actually what we post out for procurement. All right, so the first one is Alamo Street and First Street apron rail repair. This project will consist of removing and replacing 48 linear feet of damaged rail on the front apron at the Alamo Street Wharf and 39 linear feet of damaged rail at the front apron on First Street Wharf. And this repair basically involves removing the rail, repairing the concrete, replacing the rail, as well as all the joints along that front apron of the wharves. Next one is the Julia Street water main repair project. That one is currently out for procurement. It closes on April 20th. This project consists of repairing the 12-inch water main that currently runs under Julia, Arado, and Thaler Street wharves. Because it's under the wharf, we get high river, it gets damaged, it gets misaligned, it causes leaks, which was what we're experiencing now. So this project's going to look to correct that. Thought being we're going to relocate it up as high as we can to the wharf itself, as well as push it back towards the shoreline as far as we can. Also involves installing additional valves. To install those additional valves, we're going to have to cut access hatches in the wharf itself, and then obviously repair those access hatches once they're in. Next project is the Florida Bridge roadway and settlement repairs. This project is going to repair damage caused by settlement of the embankment and roadway at the west approach of the bridge. Basically, it involves removal and replacement of various portions of concrete roadway, the median barrier, other incidental paving type efforts. Also includes reconstruction of pavement expansion joints. There's some voids that will have to be filled under the concrete approach slabs. And then some other miscellaneous features such as repairing, removing, reinstalling, chain link fences and things like that, as well as roadway pavement restriping. Next project is the Almanastra Bridge fender repair project. This project is basically to repair damage to portions of the bridge fender protection system. The work involves removal and replacement of timber piles, some whales, walkways, and bracing of dolphins in the fender system. This is one project that may not meet the 2 to 3 4 month timeline. We have a little bit of issue with design, so we are working through that. So it may be a little further out in the year. Next project is the Florida Avenue paint anchor bolt and fender piles. This project basically consists of cleaning, repairing, and or replacing various bolts and welds on the fender and the fender pile system. Again, these are high level overview. All the details will be in the procurement notice when it hits the website. One project that isn't on the slide, but we do have some miscellaneous building repairs. We're making some minor repairs in the building here at our administration building. So that will be another small project that'll be coming out in the very near future. And that's all I have, Kathy.
All right, thank you, Chris. And now we're going to hand it over to John. And John, I have 2 slides for you, so just I'll switch over when you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We have a question in the chat for Chris. So before we hand it off to John, Chris, there's a question for upcoming projects that fall under repairs or that require service. Oops. Are there times when you will need to procure various supplies that would be required?
That's a potential, but all that, the details will be included in the procurement once we finalize the procurement package. But yeah, it's a potential, but I can't say for certain with any of the projects at this point, since they're all in some various form of development.
Okay. And then there is another question for the rail repair on Alamo Street and First Street. Will you need any inspections or NDE services on the repaired joints and newly installed rail lines. This is for magnetic particle testing. They said we've done that before.
We will need some form of inspection. Again, all the details are still being finalized on the extent of the inspection, given that it is a just for the front apron effort, the rail along the front apron. Again, just watch out for the procurement package when it gets finalized, and all the requirements will be included in it.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Chris. Now, John.
Yes, so our upcoming projects that I believe should be going out for RFP in the June timeframe would be for maintenance dredging, HVAC for the admin building and our cruise terminals, as far as HVAC port-wide. Our maintenance dredging contract is for up to 3 years, and it's for our container terminal. So we have a contract that we put out that requires that the contractor maintain, it may vary this time, between 45 and 50 feet of water in our container terminal approaches. So this takes a constant dredging effort all year round to maintain that through high river and low river. I'm not sure if we have any dredging contractors online right now, but if we have questions about that, I can answer some more. The HVAC for our admin building cruise terminal, that's some of our larger facilities, multi-story buildings or large square foot areas where we have chillers, air handlers, and so forth. We more than likely will not be doing any upgrades to the systems this go around. It's basically going to be maintenance and repairs and upkeep of the system, preventive maintenance and so forth during the period of that contract. And more than likely, it'll be a 1-year contract with an option to renew for a second and or third year. The HVAC port-wide for the smaller units, we have probably up to 100 units spread out all over the port, from our drawbridges to our maintenance facilities and HPD offices, et cetera. A lot of split units, some larger window units or residential size units that need regular preventive maintenance, repairs, and so forth. Some of our biggest concerns, as I kind of touched on earlier, Kathy, if you can go to the next slide, is that we normally have a lot of one-off type repairs being in maintenance. We're constantly putting out maintenance fires, so to speak. And with all the variety of equipment and infrastructure we're tasked to maintain, can't always tackle that with in-house employees, and we need contractor assistance. So as you can see on the slide, a lot of small civil repairs might be roadway, could be roadway, concrete, asphalt, drainage, grounds maintenance. When we get into the buildings, we do a lot of painting, carpentry, flooring, sheetrock. A lot of the small things we'll tackle ourselves, but sometimes it gets too large for our in-house employees to accomplish in a timely manner. We get into the cranes or dredge or pile driver or even our drawbridge. We get a lot of machinist type work or field welding that needs to be done. Some of those parts we need to fabricate from scratch in some cases. As far as ground maintenance, we have our utilities that we have to deal with, I mentioned earlier. So we have underground water main repairs. We have under wharf water line repairs that need to be done as well. Most of these aren't bid out just due to the lack of complexity. They're small repairs, but it's more than we can handle in-house. And some of the time, not every time, but there's more than one occasion where we have trouble finding available contractors that can meet the urgency of our needs. If we need something done quickly, they don't have time to get to us, or problems having enough contractors to get cost effective, comparative quotes so that we're getting a good value for the work. And as mentioned before, we'd love to expand our database of available contractors so we can have more people to call upon and get quotes. So if you're interested or you have, this is any of these are your fields of work, please reach out to procurement so we can get you on our list or myself so we can call you when we have work available. Thank you.
And John, we have a couple questions that entered the chat. One from Calvin, will you need any hydrographic survey for the dredging work?
Say that again, what for the dredging work?
Will you need any hydrographic surveys for the dredging work?
So most of the time, we don't. We do a lot of that in-house. We have our own sounding crew that can map the river bottom. There are on occasions, though, where we need outside help, mostly when either our vessel is down for maintenance or on dry dock and so forth. So we would need somebody, or we could use extra available contractors in our database to call on upon request when need be for that kind of work.
All right, and we have a couple other questions that came through. Let's see. Are there environmental requirements, ESOs, for your dredge projects?
We have to, so just in general, the environmental requirement usually falls back to our Corps of Engineers permit, which we have to follow. So dredging in the river, in this section of the river, a lot of the environmental concerns come to what do we do with the dredge material. We have specs according to the Corps permit that we can dump it back into the river. It just has to be at a deep contour so that it gets carried off with the current.
Okay, and let's see, we have a couple more. In expanding your contractors for service, are there any specific supplies / goods that you are looking for on a contractual basis?
So, yeah, the answer is that yes, we have a variety of, I should have probably added that in there. So on top of the contractors to actually perform work, vendors for materials, wire rope is one. I think we have some RFPs that are out currently for our crane department. We may be looking in the future to do additional or expand that to our other equipment like the dredge, the pile driver, our cranes and so forth, or in our bridges for wire rope purchases as well. Anything from grease, oils, fuel, metals. We're doing some of our own in-house fabrication, electrical components, a little bit of everything, in cleaning supplies for some of our office buildings. Pretty much you name it. Yes, we're probably buying it for some purpose.
And then we have one more, I think, for you, and then I have one that I saw for Chanel. John, for the large ship-to-shore cranes, do you stock crane brakes like drum brakes, disc brakes, or safety brakes?
So yes, there are a variety of different braking systems on the ship-to-shore cranes, and we do stock parts for those. The majority of them are proprietary components, and depending on the system, that's the brand we have to stick with. But we do stockpile parts, and we regularly have to replace that stock due to the wear and failures.
All right, thank you, John. And any additional questions for John, you can put it in the chat and we'll address it closer to the end. Chanel, I did want to go back to you briefly before inviting Carl to speak. We got a question in the chat regarding sending the DSBS and capability statement. How do they submit that to us? That question was from Janine.
They can email it to me, and I will share it with the engineering team and any of our other teams that can use that service. So send it to me at Chanel, CHANEL .Labat, LAB as in boy, AT at portnola.com.
Thanks, Chanel, and I'll go ahead and I'll put that in the chat. I'll put both your email and the procurement email in the chat. All right. And lastly, we have Carl. And I see a couple of questions coming through in the chat. We'll do our best to get to all of them. I'm keeping track. I see a couple from earlier that we haven't gotten to yet. So just know we're gonna do our best to get to all of the questions closer to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Oh yeah, a few of our projects that are coming up, they'll be out to bid, and they'll be especially this one. The first one is our France Yard expansion. We are increasing our storage here on the railroad. We have plans that are come up to be 90%, and we'll be out to put them out to bid here shortly. And we'd like to actually start breaking ground on July 1st on this project. So just to let you know, we're looking for railroad construction contractors, possibly some dirt work involved with this. So be on the lookout for that. Next slide, please. Jefferson Highway crossing resurfacing. We'll be looking for some contractors to do the bidding for the repaving of this crossing. We are going to take this crossing out, take up our railroad tracks. Most of that work will be done in-house. And then we will be also, well, we would need the contractor to come in and do the resurfacing of the concrete panels and blend it in with the existing roadway at Jefferson Highway. The most important thing on this project and working with the railroad, there are some differences with the port too. Our insurance requirements are different because you're dealing with railroad liability insurance. So if you're looking into providing quotes, and you must carry this insurance in order to work on these projects. Next slide. All right. Some of the requests for professional services that will be coming up is our bridge inspection and as needed bridge engineering. We do have a Huey P. Long Bridge that we inspect. We do have 2 other bridges that we lease from the CN Railroad that will be needed inspecting, and also 2 box culverts and the turntable, as you see up in the picture also. Some of those structures need to be inspected with FRA regulations, and this is done on a once-a-year basis. And we'll be putting that RFP out soon. Also, one thing that we'll be looking for is re-railing emergency services in case we have an incident where we need to put cars back up on track, where we could give you a call out and you could come out and provide that service for us. Anything else? Next slide, I believe. Oh, all right. Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. And obviously, we will have other opportunities for you all too coming up. So, thanks.
Thanks, Carl. Okay, so I do see a couple of questions in the chat. So let me pull it up and then we can direct it to the appropriate panel members. All right, so we got a question from Cami regarding do you include safety needs on the bids? We provide industrial triage for job sites through an occupational medicine company through on-site medical solutions.
Would that be for me or is that in general?
Just in general.
Okay. For ourselves, we fall underneath a whole different set of rules with the FRA. I'd have to look at and actually see their services. They could email me their information. I'd say email Chanel and Chanel could forward it to myself. I'll take a look at that.
Hey, I have a question. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, I was curious to know when you talk about civil projects, were the civil projects identified as maintenance, etc.? Is that what that is?
Chanel or Chris?
I can answer that if you'd like.
Sure.
With respect to civil projects, they could be both maintenance or capital. So it just depends on mainly the magnitude of the project and complexity.
Thanks, Tony. We got a question from Drew for John. John, in regards to the wire rope you mentioned, the bid process that is currently out requires a one-year contract on thousands of feet of wire in a number of diameters. With surcharges on domestic wire as well as fluctuation in pricing throughout the year, this is very hard to forecast. What are your thoughts on this?
Kathy, sorry. I was having trouble muting and unmuting. For the questions that are on items that are currently out to bid, if you can email us those questions. So the wire ropes are currently out. You can see those on our website and download all of the specifications on them. And so any questions that you have on current opportunities, please send us an email on those. We want to make sure that we follow our process for answering those types of questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Chanel. Carl, we got a couple of questions for you. Do you ever have a need for train wheels, or do you have?
I just heard the first part. I'll answer the first part first. The need for train wheels. We do have a car shop facility, and we do occasionally change out and swap out wheels. That would also be part of our procurement process. So please sign up with Chanel, and when that bid comes up and the opportunity for that bid to come up, it'll be advertised, and we'll get a hold of you. So what was the second part of that question?
Do you have crane needs?
Well, the crane needs would be for re-railing equipment, emergency wise, that I first mentioned. And then occasionally our maintenance department may need something here and there, but we just leased 10 brand new locomotives. So replacing aux generators and those parts where we need a crane. Currently, we don't see a need for that per se, but it could be written into the our bid for emergency re-railing. So thank you for your question.
Thank you. And we have a question from Bryce regarding lighting upgrades. Do we anticipate needing lighting upgrades to LED lights?
We do have some funds set aside in the upcoming budget, hopefully, to continue with our LED conversions on our ship-to-shore container cranes, and as well as our cruise facilities and admin building. A lot of that's going to have to do largely if a lot of the grant money from energy and so forth is available this year, because that's what we were taking part in previous fiscal years. So we do have our eye on doing that. It's not set in stone yet. We're waiting to see how that's going to unfold as far as available grant monies and which direction we're going to go. But it is something we're looking forward to doing.
Great, thanks, John. And we also have a question for you, if you have mechanical dredge work.
So as far as mechanical dredge, I'm assuming you mean cutter head type dredge. That, for all the dredging work that we're doing in the river, at any of our berths, especially at the container terminal, a cutter head suction dredge is required to complete the majority of that work. For some of the smaller tasks, I think they have a variety of other equipment out there that could meet some of the needs, but to accomplish the task of the entire task of the contract, scope of the contract, it would have to be, at least in our opinion, it'd probably need a cutter head dredge to accomplish it. But when it does go out for RFP, if other contractors have some out of the box kind of ideas on how to address the situation, that is definitely something we're looking at, new ideas how to address the situation, maybe more cost-effective solution to our maintenance issues.
Awesome, thanks, John. Chanel, looks like we have a couple for you. If we are current, go through to work with you on these projects.
No, if you are already a vendor that's registered with us, sorry, you don't need to go through anything else. I would just strongly encourage you to check the website and make sure that you're able to see everything and that you can download those projects. But no, nothing extra you need to do.
And is the website updated with contract awards?
Is it meaning are the contracts added to the website? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
I'm assuming.
Okay.
Once we award the awards, is that updated on our website? The contracts.
I don't think so at this time, but I will look into that if you send me an email. I don't think that's something that we're doing at this time.
All right. Are there any other questions that anyone may have?
Hey, Kathy, this is Mindy Earhart. Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
Is there a way for the procurement website to email a contractor specific bids or projects that might be relevant to their capabilities? It doesn't look like there is, but I just wanted to make sure.
So the website doesn't do that at the moment, Mindy, where it would just push it out to vendors. We don't have that capability right now.
Okay, if you guys would look into it for future, the future systems, that's a great way to get more contractors active and interested, because it's kind of difficult to remember to check, the website on a regular basis, especially when you're trying to run a business at the same time.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks.
Another question that came through on the chat. Yes, we will have a recording of this up on the procurement page of the Port website following, this session. It'll probably go up next week. And from Kevin, on the maintenance for electrical needs, what are some of the needs that we have? John, I think that's more for you.
Yeah. For our ship-to-shore cranes and sometimes for the drawbridges, a lot of times we have motors that, large motors that get burnt up that need to be serviced or rebuilt. And along with that, a lot of it is supplies. So we might have breakers and different parts of the equipment that get damaged or fail over time. As far as when it comes to cranes, as far as installing, like for labor, electrical labor, a lot of that has to do maybe repairing some of the larger electrical conductors that may need to be spliced, or helping us run new cables, either for the cranes under the wharf or on top of the wharf, respooling, maybe 1,000 feet of, heavy electrical conductor cable for the cranes. When it comes to the drawbridges, sometimes when it gets to traffic gates or traffic barriers, and or some of the PLC work. We regularly go out to contractor assistance for help in a lot of those areas. And that may be doing some, if it's not directly related to the controls of the drawbridge or the main power, it may be ancillary systems to the drawbridge that we'll reach out to. Usually electrical in some of the facilities, like with the admin building, the cruise terminal, we'll handle a lot of that in-house unless the scope gets a little bit out of hand and it's going to take too long for our in-house employees to get to. So some of that could be lighting or other features that we need addressed, but that's a little bit more rare.
Thank you, John.
Let me add one more thing. So we also do, usually when there's electrical work or rewiring or some refurbishment that needs to happen on our marine fleet, we will more than likely usually reach out to contractor assistance for that as well. So any of the dredge tender vessels on the dredge itself, our fireboat, police boat, or even our sounding vessel, anytime that needs any kind of rework or maintenance done, replacement of conductors or rewire and so forth, we'll reach out for contractor assistance on those.
Great, thanks, John. Chanel, we had a couple of questions through in the chat for you. Do you recognize and accept MBE/WBE certifications from out of state?
Currently, we are accepting the certification through Louisiana Economic Development, the Hudson certification, and the City of New Orleans' SLDBE certification are the current certifications that we accept. I can provide you with a link to both of those sites where you can register and submit all the paperwork to get certified. If you're interested in that, please send me an email.
We also got a question from Vanessa. I think we might have answered this one. Is there a way to see what contracts have been awarded and the amount of contracts?
You just send an email on what you would like to see, and we'll work with you, Vanessa.
And is there ever a need for IT services?
I would say yes. Our IT director is not on the call, but yes, if you have a capability statement and contact information, send it to us and I'll share it with our IT director.
All right, and then we got a question regarding what engineering services do you need for the St. Bernard multimodal container terminal and inner harbor projects?
I'll take that, Kathy. Obviously, the St. Bernard project is still early in the early stages of it, so we don't have any detailed list of what engineering services we will need, although we do know we will need them, and lots of them when we get to that point. As far as the inner harbor projects go, we have different port facilities along inner harbor as well as bridges, and we need all kinds of engineering services for those as well. Kind of similar answer to what Chanel has been saying. If you have that capability, go ahead and submit your capabilities to us and be on the lookout for any procurement needs along those lines.
Thank you, Chris. We have another one, Chanel, as a supplier sourcing agent, are there supplies that are needed on an ongoing basis?
Yes. So we always need office supply, printing supplies, things like that. So yes, there's a need for ongoing supplies. Absolutely.
All right, and I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat. Would you please answer again the question regarding the need of IT services?
Kathy, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that one.
As someone asking if you can repeat the answer to the question regarding the need for IT services.
Yes, If you send me a capability statement and your contact information, I'll share it with our IT director. He's not on the panel with us this afternoon, but I'm sure he's always looking for IT stuff as well. So we'll share that with him.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes left. Are there any other questions? For any other specific questions regarding certain projects, we have the procurement email here. Feel free to email the procurement team, and they will point you in the right direction. I'm not seeing anything else come through on the chat. Panelists, is there anything else that you would like to add? Oh, we just had one come through.
Kathy, if I may,
Yes.
for any of the maintenance work, and I'm sure for the engineering and even for the belt, it helps if all the contractors or employees have their TWIC cards. It makes access a lot easier.
Thank you. We just got another question. Do you have SCADA throughout your facility?
Yeah, Kathy, that's SCADA. We don't have them at the bridges, I know that. I'm not sure about all the port facilities, although that's tenant owned or operated, so they may have it. I don't know, Tony or John, any?
No, we do not.
No.
And then for the St. Bernard project, our due diligence is 2 years. And we are just now in the early stages of that.
All right, thank you, Chris. Panelists, do you have anything else that y'all want to add before we wrap up?
This is Bryce Moreland. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question regarding the HVAC projects that are planned. Are you looking to install any COVID killing and other pathogen killing technology in those HVAC systems?
So we've already done that mostly in our admin building and some of our smaller offices.
Mm-hmm.
That question is still we're still determining that for our cruise terminals. We're not really sure what the requirements are going to be when the CDC and the government lets those come back online. So not sure yet, but if we do, it more likely it will be included in that contract for those upgrades.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have one more question that we'll get to, and this can be our last question before we wrap up. Considering landlord would purchase of RTGs, lift trucks, RMGs, would that be the responsibility of the tenant?
Kathy, that's yet to be determined. I'm
All right.
specifically speaking for the new terminal. The current terminal has RTGs already.
And last question from Jason, how does the port liquidate surplus/obsolete equipment? Do you bid it out to auction companies, or do you sell them directly for cash bids?
So we place all of our surplus items on Gov Deals. Jason, if you send me an email, I'll send you a link to the site, and they bid out all of our surplus items.
All right, well, thank you, Chanel. And that being said, thank you everyone who joined us today. We hope that this was an informative session for you. Like I said, we'll be posting this session online next week. And if you have any follow-up questions, reach out to our procurement team at procurement@portnola.com. And we look forward to hopefully working with you in the near